Alright, we had, of course, the UFN tonight, and I'll be back with a tough review. Watching DA in the background, so if you hear something, that's probably it. Okay, now there were a lot of fights on this card. Let me give me a sec here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4, 6-5, 6-6. I had an ugly one, splitting it dead even on 6-6. Not good picks. Kind of sucks because I changed 2 picks like the day before, and they would have wound up winning. That would have been 8-4. Anyways, okay. Start from the bottom, according to UFC.tv. Work our way up. We have Anthony Johnson taking on. We had Anthony Johnson versus Tommy Spear. Went kind of like I said it would be. Tommy Spear, when he's confronted with a guy of similar strength, I just don't think he's gonna be that good. And he got basically outstruck and couldn't take down Anthony Johnson and got stopped in the first round, and what was a fairly one-sided fight. Next fight we didn't get to see, which is George Sotiropoulos, Roman Michichian. I don't know if I predicted this exactly correct, but I said TKO in the second round for Sotiropoulos, and it happened. So, go figure. Sammy Chavo versus Clay Guida. Guida TKOing Chavo in the first round. I might have got the wrong round right, but I did say Guida, but I had the decision. Jeff Cox, Manny Gambier, we get to see this one either. Manny pretty quickly submitting Jeff Cox in the first round. Ryan Are You Ready Roberts versus Marcus Maximus Aurelio. Marcus base submission in the first round. Again, we didn't get to see it. We hit my first loss finally here with Josh Neer winning a unanimous decision against Dean Thomas. I'll have to dig up the fight and say what I think about it, but it makes kind of a sense. I mean, Josh is a bigger guy. He's incredibly tough to finish. He's got some great skills. I said in the video that he could win this fight. Maybe not in so many words, but I said he's very hard to finish. He's very skilled, and he showed it, I assume, in this fight. Another loss for me was Gray Maynard defeating Frank Edgar. A couple things kind of become a little obvious in this fight, I think. That being, Frank Edgar may be a better technical wrestler than Gray Maynard. I don't know. They're very close. Let's put it this way. Let's put it. The one-sidedness of the wrestling in this match was more of a result of Maynard being bigger and stronger and able to use his wrestling a little better. I didn't really take into account the size difference. That's my bad. Frankie Edgar, maybe he's more suited to 145 because he was a lot smaller than Gray Maynard. That's kind of all I have to say on that one. The striking was reasonably even, no real near submission attempts or anything. Mainly, just better wrestler. James Irvin ties the UFC record held by Dwayne Ludwig, which really is not true because I think Dwayne Ludwig said some weird thing about the timing that makes it an 8-second KO, and it's more like a 4-second KO. But he knocks out Houston Alexander in 8 seconds with a Superman punch. Alexander claimed he was still in it. I don't know about that. I don't think he was done, personally. I thought the fight should have gone on a little longer, but at the same time, I mean, it's a ref's call. And in the heat of the moment, the ref has to make a call, and I would personally not particularly want to have that kind of thing to call. But, they're paid to do it, and I'm not going to say that. I said James Irvin should win, and he did. And it didn't really prove what I said, but it's a win. So what I kind of say is sometimes when you're predicting things, you may lose a prediction, but your prediction facts were actually more sound than if you win. Kind of like, I say James Irvin's going to win. James Irvin winds up knocking him out in 8 seconds, not really proving what I said. Whereas there's this one, Kurt Pellegrino, Nate Diaz, which my facts were pretty good on this one. I mean, Kurt did take down Nate Diaz as well. This could be, argued that Nate Diaz wanted to go to the ground. It's a perfectly legitimate argument. He controlled the stand-up, although I would not say it was dominant. He won the first round pretty easily, and I honestly do not know. I mean, I don't want to say it smells fishy, but that triangle choke that Nate Diaz put on him was kind of slow. I don't know, but it just left kind of a bad taste in my mouth, I guess, to lose a fight that way. But Nate Diaz wins by submission in the second round with a triangle choke. He looked good. I mean, he was decently defending himself outside of the one time where he got kind of crucifixed by Pelgro and like leveled. But aside from that, he did okay. He stayed out of trouble. He was losing. This kind of seems to be the Nate Diaz motto. You know, lose, get beaten by superior wrestling, and submit him. That kind of seems to be his thing. Next up, I changed for Matt Hamill at the last second. I still think my ideas were sound. I think Tim Bosh just gassed horribly. Oh, that was he gassed out pretty good. High altitude may do that to you, but I mean, Hamill, despite the big gash in his lip, wins by TKO. Relatively dominant on the ground. Bosh, I think, did get the better of the stand-up, but Hamill was in the stand-up too. He had a lot of power. He has a lot of power in his punches. I think you saw it. I think he did a better job than David Heath, which is a bit weird because David Heath's a better striker against Bosh on the feet. That being said, Bosh couldn't take Hamill down. Hamill could take Bosh down. And I think that basically kind of like what defined the fight, kind of like the Vladimir Matyushenko fight, where Bosh would get taken down by Vladdy even though he was winning the stand-up. But that's what happens when you face a wrestler of the caliber of Matt Hamill. Moving on. Thiago Alves TKO's Parisian. A bit of a controversial stoppage, but I personally don't have a problem with it, and I picked Caro. Caro did take Thiago Alves down. Didn't really do a lot with him. He did better on the feet than I thought, actually. He even won a couple of exchanges with Alves, which is a bit weird. That being said, Thiago Alves is a young gun in the welterweight division. I think this kind of guarantees that I think the next guy to get a title shot should be John Fitch. There were some that could say and make a decently legitimate argument that Caro should get it if he beats Alves. But with him losing to Alves and of course Fitch having a win over Alves, I really can't think of anyone else you can market to the MMA hardcore fan in a title match with the winner of GSP Sarah other than John Fitch. That's my opinion, and I would not be surprised if it was overly shared by a couple of people. Last part on the card was Kenny Florian and Joe Lauzon. First round, pretty good for Joe Lauzon. He got some takedowns. He, I think, did a little bit better in the stand-up portions. But Kenny showed his very solid ground skills, and he also cut open the back of Lauzon's head and eventually stopped him with punches from Mount. I mean, Kenny took Mount pretty easily. He held it. Lauzon did escape a couple times, got back to like half and quarter guard, but couldn't quite take it to the next level, and it's kind of how it goes. Where does this put Kenny Florian? He's pretty near a title shot again, I must say, because as I have constantly harped on, the UFC does not seem to be terribly interested in signing the best 155ers. And people may say that's a lie, but I think you look at the facts. I mean, Dream's first show, I think, had more lightweight talent on it than the entire UFC's lightweight division. And that's my opinion. Sorry to any UFC guys who don't want to acknowledge MMA outside of UFC. I'll be back with the tough first episode review. We had 8 fights. Pretty nice. The 4 of them were those cutscene highlights. Nonetheless, that's cool. That's good. I'll be opening my Mio reality channel soon. Aside from that, I might do a video on the MMA soon, just because I feel like it. Later.